The race for president took some unusual detours today in the name of finding undecided voters, whether it was Kamala Harris taking questions from Fox News or Donald Trump trying to close the gap with women voters. With 20 days left, Garrett Haake reports.
Vice President Harris tonight in her first formal interview with Fox News. Harris pressed on her record on immigration.
Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. You owe those families an apology.
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. If a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border.
The appearance part of a concerted pitch for anti-Trump Republicans. Harris in must-win Pennsylvania with former GOP Congressman Adam Kinzinger, blasting these controversial Trump comments about some Democrats.
We have the outside enemy, and then we have the enemy from within.
He considers any American who doesn't support him or bend to his will to be an enemy to our country. Donald Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged.
Former President Trump responding.
I wasn't unhinged. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone.
Trump also on Fox News for a town hall with an audience of women voters and talking about his support for in vitro fertilization.
I'm the father of IVF, so I want to hear this question. The Democrats tried to attack us on it, and we're out there on IVF even more than them. So we're totally in favor of it.
Harris firing back today.
I found it to be quite bizarre. Actually, he called himself the father of IVF. He should take responsibility for the fact that 1 in 3 women in America lives in a Trump abortion ban state.
Garrett, Harris was also pressed in that Fox News interview about her earlier comment that she couldn't think of anything that she would do differently than President Biden.
Yeah, that's right, Lester. In this interview, she said she would not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency and that she represents a new generation of leadership that has not spent her whole career in Washington. Lester?
Garrett Haake, thank you. One man who has rocketed his way into former President Trump's orbit, Elon Musk. Hallie Jackson tonight on how the founder of SpaceX and Tesla is going all out to help Trump win.
For the world's richest man, it's one of his most valuable resources, time. And Elon Musk's giving plenty of it to support former President Trump, starting tonight with a series of talks in battleground Pennsylvania. Just the latest boost from the billionaire.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
New numbers out today show Musk gave $75 million to the pro-Trump fundraising group he founded to help turn out voters. The SpaceX and Tesla founder, despite Mr. Trump's frequent criticism of EVs, becoming a close confidant.
Elon Musk is a very good friend of mine. He endorsed me and you saw him the other night in Butler, Pennsylvania. Was he having a good time?
Musk jumping on stage at that rally.
President Trump must win to preserve the Constitution. He must win to preserve democracy in America.
And hosting an X Spaces with Mr. Trump, who joked about Musk firing striking workers.
I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, do you want to quit? They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike and you say, that's okay, you're all gone.
While some tech titans like Mark Zuckerberg have leaned out of politics, others like Mark Andreessen are leaning in, or in Musk's case, all in.
We'll have a new position, Secretary of Cost Cutting, okay? Elon wants to do that.
But it's a relationship some Democrats have seized on, pointing to Tesla's anti-union position.
Musk is building his new auto plant, not in Michigan, in Mexico.
And using Musk to illustrate their warnings about a second Trump term.
Billionaires like Elon Musk will get their giant tax cut again.
Keep in mind, Musk's involved in a regulatory fight with the feds and has had to apologize for controversial posts on his X platform, which itself has been criticized for allowing misinformation to spread. Lester?
Okay, Hallie, thank you. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.